Hello, my name is Amy Sturkey. I am a pediatric physical therapist. I'm here with Stacy Marks, and Stacy is 37 years old. She has athetoid cerebral palsy. She also has an incomplete C3, C4
Correct.
spinal cord injury affecting the movement of her right side of her body. And Stacy asked me to talk about mental health issues as it relates to people who have cerebral palsy. There's not a lot of information out there on this, and there's a real lack of research relating to these issues. And the more these issues are talked about and discussed openly and freely, we feel the more it will help people realize that these are issues that need to be dealt with. At least 50% of people who have cerebral palsy have mental health issues, so it's really something that needs to be talked about. We've talked about issues relating to mental health issues, and this time I want to talk more about treatment. It's really important to get treatment for mental health issues before they become debilitating. If you treat issues earlier, it can help them keep them from snowballing into worse issues. It's also, as we've talked about, important to handle all the things that thread into mental health issues, because it can be chronic pain issues or fatigue or nutrition or sleep. And it might be that people need to have specialists in all those different areas to help support a person who has cerebral palsy to be able to function as best as they can. And then when I have helped families be able to get mental health services, a lot of times communication styles are important to take into consideration. I have some children who I work with, or young adults actually, that are limitedly verbal, or people who have communication devices, or in your cases, I imagine that finding someone who can sign to find a therapist makes it tricky. Can you tell me how that's been true for you?
Certainly, yes. So I had two hearing therapists who used to hire interpreters, but it really didn't work for me. So I ended up changing and going to see a therapist in high school who was a man who knew sign language. And we would chat in therapy with my family because my parents were going through a divorce at that time, and it was pretty tough. And I had some emotional issues and depression related to that. And I also had a lot of struggles with my self-image, and related to my cerebral palsy specifically, because I moved a lot and I felt like the movements of my cerebral palsy were ugly, and I had a lot of issues with that.
It does seem like your family is visually cool. I don't know how to say. They present them. I really only know your mom. Your mom is like fancy in the way she presents herself, and so visual appearance seems like would be important. So I could see where that might, if you felt like how you look was not attractive in the way you move, that would be challenging.
Yes, certainly. Yeah, that was certainly a part of it.
Can you tell me the range of types of mental health services you've had? You mentioned you had some counseling. What else have you done, or has that been it?
Sure. So when I was around the age of 20, I graduated from high school, and I was planning to take 1 year off before college, but I realized that I really didn't know what I wanted to do with my life, and I was struggling with knowing how to navigate life as an adult with cerebral palsy. Like, what am I going to do now that I'm an adult? And I got into a very deep depression. And my family decided that it was best for me to have therapy in a medical facility in Florida at a residential level. And that wasn't particularly successful for me personally. And so I moved to a facility in North Carolina. And then when I was 22, I moved from Raleigh, or moved to Raleigh for 5 years. And I started seeing a deaf therapist there. And that is really when I learned a lot as far as improving my mental health. I learned a lot from her. And then also when I was 27, I just had a lot of anger and issues with my relationship with my mom because I wanted to be independent, like my twin. There was some comparison there, and I also didn't want like the government to be controlling me. I wanted to be independent, and my depression, my mental health had a little bit of an issue. I had somewhat of a mental breakdown, and my doctor decided that it would be best to be put in a state hospital for my mental health at that time. And I was there for 5 months, and it was a really awful experience. And that was when I had the issue with the medication that caused me to have severe mind fog and not think clearly, and caused me a lot of physical issues, and my physical body deteriorated, and that's when I suffered my fall that caused my spinal cord injury, and I broke partially one of my vertebrae. And then after that, we noticed that I was unable to move my right side normally, and I couldn't walk anymore. And at that time, I wanted to be able to walk again, but they told me I couldn't. And that was a big change for me in my life. And my mom really had to fight and advocate for me with the doctors because we found out I needed emergency surgery, and the doctors were refusing to do surgery in the state facility. And so my mom was not accepting their policies, and she knew that I needed to save my life, so she fought for me. She said, if you don't do surgery, she's gonna die. So and we finally got the surgery done in Charlotte at a different facility. And my mom saved my life. I always say that.
You've been through a lot. And now, do you need counseling on a regular basis? Do you engage in counseling now, or?
So yeah, I still go to therapy regularly.
I've done counseling 4 different times in my life, and I've found it has been really helpful for me to be more accepting of my life and my challenges, and I just can't advocate
Me
enough
too.
for how wonderful it is to have someone who specializes in helping people through the roller coaster of life. And
Certainly, yeah. I agree.
there's a time when, if we could use a medical example of, when I have indigestion, that it's good to talk to a friend and say, oh, my stomach hurts, and I, what do you think is wrong with my stomach? And there's a time when you need to go see a doctor, and a doctor knows more. Or when your car is messed up, that you might ask your husband, my car is doing this or why. And then there's a time to go see a mechanic. And what a honor and a blessing it is to be able to go see someone who can objectively look at your issues and has experience of helping other people. I just think it's a wonderful thing to have someone who can be there to help you through issues in your life. How do you see it?
Yeah, my therapist is a really wonderful woman. She's taught me a lot. And I'm so grateful for her.
There is not research on what are the best mental health techniques to help people who have cerebral palsy. So they apply what is helpful for the general population. And those things are, some of them are being pro-social. So those are things that where you help other people, that you share with other people, you donate your time and your services, you cooperate with other people. Have you done any of those kind of volunteering kind of things to be able to help your own mental health?
Yeah. About 8 years ago, I used to volunteer at a school, at an elementary school, in the special education class, and there was a deaf boy, and I taught him some sign language, and then there was 2 kids with physical disabilities, and they were such sweeties, and I would help them as well.
And how did giving back like that make you feel?
Made me feel really good. It was hard work, but it was very rewarding.
And it sounds like from your stories that you have learned to advocate and be more assertive about your needs. Did that take special training too?
Yeah, certainly. I had to learn to be a more strong advocate for myself and educate people over and over again about my needs so that they understand. Sometimes people don't know things, and they can't read my mind.
Also, involvement in adaptive recreation programs are recommended. Have you tried anything like that?
Yeah. I've done water skiing and snow skiing, and then also I did soccer, wheelchair soccer, for 6 years.
Wow.
And that was when I was 16 until 20.
Wow. And the other thing is just medication management. Is that something you have done?
Yeah, I am on mental health medication.
So I think that by having someone such as yourself be able to talk through where you've been and the progress you've made and the treatments that you have been through, it helps other people be able to realize that there are options out there that can help them. I mean, I think that a lot of the research on cerebral palsy has a history of looking at motor impairments, of how people move. But I think now people are starting to see that cerebral palsy is more a complex, lifelong condition that entails mental health risks too. And by talking about it, it helps other people realize that there are treatments out there that can help. There are ways that you can engage in the community that can help. And I appreciate you being willing to share some of your challenges and talk about them bravely, because a lot of people are afraid of talking about them. And as long as we are afraid to discuss them, it separates us instead of brings us together. And so thank you so much for your time and your bravery.
And thank you.
I hope the sharing of Stacy's life has been helpful for you, and I hope it has brought you some hope in your life. We will look forward to seeing you another time. Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye.
If you liked this video and would like to be notified by email when the next video comes out, click the subscribe button here and click the golden bell icon and ensure notifications are enabled on your account.